Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lunch for the Soul. I'm Melissa Wilson from Fox 26 News in Houston. So happy to welcome you here. I have an incredible guest to welcome you to today who is about to take off on quite a journey. I can't even fathom what he has been through and what he's about to go through in completely different ways. So let's just get right to it and bring up Yelak Biru. Welcome to Lunch for the Soul.
You so much for having me this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm just so happy you're here. And first of all, just so you know, I have a history of blood cancer in my own family. My little boy had leukemia. And so I know it's different than myeloma, which is what you went through, but I have a little bit of an idea of what it's
I
like
have
to
a
go
soft
through.
spot for blood cancers.
Yeah. So you had quite a journey. How long ago did that happen to you? When were you
Uh,
diagnosed?
it was in 1995, around Christmas time frame. I was
Mhm.
going through first year graduate school in North Texas, actually University of North Texas in Denton, Texas. And I was told I have an incurable cancer called multiple myeloma. And they said it is not incurable, it is highly treatable. Come to our office and we'll figure this out. They also said that the life expectancy of that cancer was 2 to 3 years, and I will definitely be dead before I was 30.
Oh, that's a big thing for somebody to tell you. At the time, did you just say, no way, that's not going to happen? Or how are you feeling about somebody putting a number on your life?
Yeah, I was recently immigrated at that time from Ethiopia, and I was going through graduate school, as I mentioned, and it was really a mix of, oh wow, I'm actually going to be dead, to, oh, no way, I'm actually going to fight this as much as I can and live as long as I can with the utmost quality of life I can. So that has been living as long as possible with the utmost quality of life possible has been really my motto now for the last 28 years. And I'm happy to have celebrated my 54th birthday earlier this year.
To go from being told you have a couple years left to surviving decades. You were right. You did decades instead of those numbers, right? I mean, it's just beautiful to see. Well, I want to go back into that journey a little bit, but before that, I just want to tell people what you're about to do. It is going to be so incredible. In Iceland, how did this idea come about to do this trek across Iceland over 3 days and 2 nights?
Yeah, so we call it Iceland Cycling Expedition, and the International Myeloma Foundation, in partnership with University of Iceland, in October of 2016, launched this trial called iStop-MM. It stands for Iceland Screens, Treats, or Prevents Multiple Myeloma, and it is a population screening trial that is happening in Iceland. And by November of 2016, of the eligible 148,000 myeloma patients, 54% of them volunteered to participate in this study. The study is to understand how much percentage of the Iceland population have the precursor condition called MGUS, molecular gammopathy of undetermined significance, and how much of that population will progress over time through the middle stage called smoldering multiple myeloma to full-blown multiple myeloma. So this ICE initiative came about because we already had a relationship with the University of Iceland and have funded a significant portion of the iStop MM project in Iceland.
How will that information of people who live in Iceland, how does that help you throughout the states and in other parts of the world?
Yeah, so there are other studies who have really indicated that multiple myeloma is multiple myeloma. Once you get it, the progression of that, regardless your race, ethnicity, or where you end up living in the world, is similar. So by understanding what percentage of the Iceland population has the precursor condition, And if they get screened, is there an ability for the doctors to intervene and prevent it from actually progressing into multiple myeloma? Would hopefully lead in the next few years, should we screen for multiple myeloma in high risk population. So
Mhm.
transferability of that study is hopefully one. We understand what population within the US and outside are at higher risk for developing multiple myeloma.
Mhm.
And should we actually be screening like we screen for colon cancer and other cancers for multiple myeloma in high risk populations?
Wow. Well, Iceland is certainly on my bucket list, so I think it's pretty incredible that you're going there. Tell us what it's like there this time of year.
Mhm. Told us that this is the best part of the year, the best time of the year. It is
Mhm.
not as cold, but it be prepared for any type of weather. It could be rainy and windy, or it could be sunny and warm like woolen coats, right? Whether it's Houston or here in Los Angeles, we are in the upper 90s or low hundreds. Warm there is upper 40s. So it is going to be very treacherous, and we have 12 people, patients, doctors, caregivers, and IMF team members that will be joining this team and raising funds to be able to fund the iStop MM and other research initiatives.
Well, you shared some video when you were going through treatment, and we see all the tubes and all the machines and everything it takes to basically keep you alive. And it's a lot to go through. It's almost overwhelming when we see you here. When I think about that, it's almost what you're going through, right? The unknown, not the ideal conditions. It's almost, it has a lot of parallelisms.
Yeah, you know, I trained as a computer scientist, and my background in IT was I'm a data scientist. So all my decisions depend and leverage data and analytics. Myeloma is one of the most data-less, if you would, cancer you can have, and you live months to months waiting for the blood test to indicate if you are still in remission or have you relapsed. If you relapse, what are you going to do? But lucky for me, when I was diagnosed, there was only high dose chemotherapy that was available in 1995. Today, we have 17 approved drugs for the treatment of multiple myeloma. And since my diagnosis, life expectancy have gone from being 2 to 3 years for standard risk patients to being 10 to 15 years. And there are many who are living over 20 years with multiple myeloma. But
And
as you
I,
mentioned, the journey is very up and down and treacherous. That video that you showed a minute ago was me collecting the T cells for a treatment called CAR T cell therapy.
Mhm. And so that is a big, huge part of what made you survive.
Yeah, so I was really lucky. One, I was able to find a doctor who was able to suspect multiple myeloma in a young patient like me.
Yeah.
The average age of diagnosis of myeloma patients is in their late 60s. So for this doctor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to say this young patient could actually have multiple myeloma, that was really an exceptional findings on his part, and I'm very grateful for him, and I will forever be grateful for him.
Oh, I'm
But
sure we
also,
all. Oh, go ahead.
no, no, but also I have been lucky to be able to respond to treatment, and I also have a lot of people that over the years that have prayed for me.
I do believe that makes such a big difference. How did you use your faith through that of being given just numbers, days, weeks, months to live? How did you use your faith to get you through that? 'Cause again, that's a really tough diagnosis.
Yeah, that was the first time I saw my dad, who was in the military, cry. The first and only time. And
Oh,
he said, God did not create humans for their children to die before their parents. And it was really a gut wrenching experience for him. But over time, I also found out that African Americans are twice more likely to get myeloma, and their outcome is half that of Caucasians. And I said, I'm so glad actually it was not my dad who was diagnosed with this cancer because he was at that prime ripe age to be diagnosed with multiple myeloma.
Mhm.
And if anyone can fight this disease, I can. And I ended up joining a support group in the Dallas Fort Worth area, learning as much as I can about the disease. But throughout all, there was my mom, who's still alive and 84, my dad, who passed away of colon cancer about 7 years ago. But we were able really to live a full life for over 20 years.
Mhm.
And I don't want anybody parent to die, but it was the right order for him in his expectations.
Mhm. I love this picture too. Was this a therapy dog that helped you?
Yeah, so this was at the hospital I was at City of Hope here in Los Angeles. So when you go through this CAR T therapy, what they do is they actually harvest your T cells out of you. They take them into a laboratory. They train them to identify and attach themselves to myeloma cells and reproduce them and give them back to you. It's like science fiction when I was
Yeah.
growing up in the 80s and 90s. This was like science fiction, really. But the science fiction is happening today. And I went through that CAR T therapy, and it has allowed me to be treatment free for the last 18 months. And my hope is that treatment will last longer. But that is a therapy dog at the City of Hope. I also had a therapy dog when I was first diagnosed, and they told me I only have 2 to 3 years to live. I went out and got a miniature dachshund and said, I can't die before this dachshund dies. And,
Oh.
and I ended up adopting him, and he ended up living 14 years after I adopted him.
So, to help us better explain why you were doing those treatments recently, so are you considered in remission now, or do you have to constantly receive treatments to keep it at bay? How does all of that work?
Yeah. So I am not, I am in remission, or in a plateau, I call it, because remission gives this false sense of security that the disease may not necessarily come. But I
Mhm.
have had 5 different relapses and remissions over my journey. I get treated for a period of time. I get on what they call maintenance therapy and hopefully get off that maintenance therapy for a period of time. And we wait and watch how long I can stay off that therapy. And if my blood test starts showing that the myeloma has come back, then I get back on some sort of treatment and I am able to live longer.
Wow.
But I have really benefited from all of the science and the advances over the last many years. There
Mhm.
are many patients who really struggle with this remission and relapse because the science shows that relapses become far and in between, and the remissions don't last as long as the longer you live with multiple myeloma.
Mhm. And so, with that, is it different treatments all the time? Have you undergone a lot of different ones, or is it most of that therapy that you were describing that you most recently did?
No, so of those 17 therapies, I've probably gone through 12 of them. Some by themselves, some in combination. Uh, but treatments has really significantly accelerated since 2015, when
Mhm.
4 drugs were approved for the treatment of multiple myeloma in one single year. And we
Mhm.
have really gone from high dose chemotherapy, where the idea is you burn the lung and give back the stem cell for the patient and let the lung come back, to targeting the weeds in the blood and being able to treat them and or eradicate them, if you would. The struggle for myeloma has been the weeds close the mechanism of action, if you would, and they come back, and then you need to find a different mechanism of action in order to be able to attack them and continue to keep them at bay.
My goodness. And it's so interesting that you started as a patient and now you're the CEO of the foundation trying to help everybody else along the way, which I just think is so valiant and so impressive. Let's talk more about this track that's about to begin. So what do you have to do to prepare for that? How many miles a day and all the good info?
Yeah, so luckily or unluckily, I am not riding.
Okay.
I will be on the support vehicle
Uh-huh.
and cheering and ensuring that everybody is traveling safely.
Well, that's an
Uh,
important team to be on, so that's
it,
good.
it really is, right? But we have someone on the team who's a myeloma doctor who has been riding, hundreds of miles over the last many years, helping prepare the patients, the other doctors, and the caregivers over the last 6 months. So they have been riding stationary bikes. They have been riding out on the streets. They have been mountain biking for over the last 6 months. They have been eating well, and they have also been building their stamina. And so we plan to ride 2 to 3 hours at a time and then take a break, have a food break or a water break, and then ride another 2 to 3 hours. So that we are potentially riding 6 to 8 hours a day and up to 30 kilometers a day. And we will be going up about 5,000, I believe, meters up.
That's a lot, but it sounds like they're ready for it. Do you feel like that this is going to really make a difference in all that you're doing to raise awareness? I'm sure to raise funds as well.
Yeah, so our hope is to be able to raise over $250,000 for this inaugural race. That is a lot of money, but at the same time, it is not a lot of money because research takes a lot of money in order
Mhm.
to do and ensure that it is done the right way, and
Sure.
the outcome from that research is beneficial to patients. But I think as much what we are wanting to do is raise awareness about the disease and also ensure that myeloma patients are not quote unquote victims, or they are not sitting on the side, or someone having an incurable cancer doesn't mean that they are out of the game of life, really. I have worked with myeloma for over 20 years in a for-profit world. I have been here almost 3 years leading this wonderful organization. And so our goal is, as you mentioned, both to raise funds, but also to raise awareness and ensure that people who may not have known what multiple myeloma is, they know what it is. And they could also say there are resources available for us to be able to navigate our lives.
Is your path similar to what most people suffer? Do most people have to do these almost lifelong treatments?
Most people do lifelong treatments. There are a few exceptions where they get high dose chemotherapy and they don't have to do anything for a long period of time. But
Mhm.
all myeloma patients, in my mind, live months to months, really looking up to say, okay, when is the next shoe going to drop? And I really am anxious when I gave my blood and it takes 3 days for my blood work to come back. And when I get a ping on my phone saying your blood work is ready, I do I want to look at this now? Is it going to ruin my day? And it really is very traumatic, if you would, having to live months to months. Yes. So
Mhm.
there is the diagnosis trauma, there is the treatment trauma, and there is the ongoing waiting for relapse trauma that myeloma patients go through.
Does praying, as you mentioned earlier, make a big difference for you?
Yes. There are things that are out of my control. I have no idea how long I will continue to be able to live with multiple myeloma. I
Mhm.
have really dedicated my last few years to be able to pay it forward because I really know I stood on the shoulders of giants who came before me and paved the way by them participating in clinical trials,
Mhm.
by companies really investing a lot of money to bring drugs to market for this treatment. and also organizations like us who are really embracing myeloma patients and putting a warm blanket around them and
Mhm.
saying that we know myeloma is devastating, but we also know that you can live potentially a fulfilling life with while you have myeloma.
We're almost out of time, but just as we wrap up, I'm just wondering if you can share what those symptoms look like, just because you never know if somebody's watching and in the future, heaven forbid, they were diagnosed with it. What does it look like? What was it like for you in the beginning?
Most patients get diagnosed with bone pain. Either they have a collapsed back or they have some sort of bone pain. And so the acronym that people want to really know is CRAB: high calcium, renal failure, bone pain, and anemia. Then you can ask, could this be myeloma? And the doctor can do an additional test to find out if you have high protein in your blood or high plasma cells in your bone marrow to be able to help diagnose you with multiple myeloma.
All right. I think it's
But
always
one
so
thing
important.
I want to leave, I'm sorry,
No, you go ahead. You want to live?
I want to leave your listeners is that
Lovely.
myeloma patients do not have ring the bell like some cancer patients do.
Mhm.
They go through treatment, they go through some sort of radiation therapy or surgery. Myeloma patients don't. But my counsel and my hope for them is while avoiding to die, they don't stop to live.
Wow, that's so powerful. And it's so important for us to all appreciate every single day, right? Nothing is ever promised to us. And just to cherish that and to learn from people like you is so powerful. Yeah, like thank you for taking time to join us. Safe travels. I hope it all goes so well for the team. Remind us again how many bikers will be out there?
We will have 12 bikers in Iceland from August 29th through September 4th.
All right, we'll be cheering them on. I hope it goes so smoothly for all of you. Thank you for being there to help and for raising awareness and for making such a big difference.
Thank you for having me.
All right, our honor to have you here on Lunch for the Soul. And I just want to remind you, every Wednesday is a place to be right here, 12:30, and Saturdays at 12:30. If you joined us late, you know what? We've got you covered. You can go to many places to watch. You can go to our Fox 26 YouTube, our webpage, fox26houston.com. We also have that Fox local app for your smart TV. So you name it, we've got it for you. And I hope if you have an idea or if you would like to be featured on Lunch for the Soul, that you'll reach out to me. You can find me, grab a pen, at melissa.wilson@fox.com. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Thanks for being here. Be blessed.